Welcome, I'm Stephanie Laverne G. Chano, the leader of Group 27, and this is my partner.
Hi, I am Samantha Justine Castro, the assistant leader, and we are here to give you the latest news about the research of Group 27 from Grade 12 STEM D.
Our headlines for today are our research entitled Parenting Styles, its implication on academic performance of the senior high school students in FEU Roosevelt Rodriguez.
In the Philippines, parenting is the raising of a child by its parents and supporting their physical, emotional, social, and intellectual needs. Additionally, the meaning of parenting for Filipino parents is until their last breath, they still worry for the future of their children even if they have their family of their own.
Although parenting is many forms and styles depending upon how the family raises the child, in other types of how the parents form their children and raise them when they are born until they have their own family.
The Philippines is one of the countries that have extended families living together. They stay at their parents' and grandparents' houses even if they have their own families. That is why Filipino parenting is different from other countries in how they raise their children.
Every child is sensitive and he or she can be molded into a successful or unsuccessful person. In the process, the parenting styles are critical to a child's success. Effective parental guidance in their children's education improves their children's learning capacity and skills. A healthy parenting style also leads to academic performance in children.
Parents play an important part in their children's educational, social, and emotional development. Yet the level of assistance offered to education interaction varies. Parents must establish good communication and relationships with their children, which includes asking about their children's academic performance, as well as offering assistance and support.
Parenting styles also has different types, and Kiana Isabel Drama is here to discuss about it. Kiana, can you tell us the different types of parenting?
Yes, that's true. According to Bawi's theory in 1966, there is a strong link between parenting styles and children's behavior. One of its styles is the authoritative parenting style. Authoritative parents are characterized by having high expectations and maturity demands, yet they are also very affectionate and very responsive. By having open conversations and giving guidance and employing reasoning, these parents establish guidelines and enforce limits. They give explanations and reasoning for their children's behavior that provide a sense of awareness to youngsters and teach them the values, morality, and goals. Authoritative parents are kind and encouraging, and they value their children's autonomy, give them a lot of freedom, and encourage them to be self-sufficient. Meanwhile, the authoritarian parenting style is defined by a high amount of parental control and a low level of parental response. Even though authoritarian and authoritative parenting styles have similar names, they differ significantly in their parenting beliefs, demands, and approaches. While both parenting styles require high standards, authoritarian parents expect blind obedience with reasons such as "because I said so." These parents adopt strict discipline and often use harsh punishments, such as physical punishment. Authoritarian parents are not nurturing and are inattentive to their children's needs. On the other hand, permissive parenting is characterized by having low demandingness, yet high responsiveness. Permissive parents have few rules and limits. They are reluctant to enforce them. Disobliging parents are loving and kind, but they don't like to disappoint their children by saying no. Last but not the least is the neglectful parenting style. It is defined as low demandingness yet low responsiveness. Neglectful parents do not set strict limits or strong expectation for their children. They are unconcerned with their children's needs and do not engage in their lives.
Alright, thank you so much, Kiana Isa Valderrama. Now we're going to move on to the family laws when it comes to parenting. So, Miss Aliana, can you tell us more about local laws when it comes to parenting?
Yes. So one of the local laws about parenting is the Article 46 of the Child and Youth Welfare Code. According to this law, parents have the following responsibilities when it comes to their children. Those are to give them attention, comfort and love, and understanding. provide them with the benefits of moral guidance, self-discipline, and religious teaching, supervise their activities, instill in them the value of industry, thrift, and self-reliance, enhance their interest in civic affairs, teach them the roles and responsibilities of citizenship, and develop their commitment to one's country. Give advice correctly in any issue affecting to advise them, constantly act as a role model. Give them with enough assistance as stated by law, notably the family code, and to handle their property, if any, in their self-interest pursuant to the family code's regulations, particularly Article 225.
Okay, thank you for that. How about international laws when it comes to parenting? Are there any?
Yes, Miss Samantha. There's also international laws about parenting. One of them is the South Africa's Children's Act of 2005, which includes providing the child with a convenient place to live, protecting and helping to promote the child's well-being, protecting the child from inhumane treatment and any other physical, emotional, or moral damage, respecting, protecting, feeding, guiding, and providing the child's education, and humanely guiding the child's behavior.
Thank you so much, Miss Aliana. Last question. Can you tell us about the conceptual framework of the study? How does it start?
It starts with the senior high school FURR students and the demographic profile of the selected respondents in terms of the following variables: parents' employment status, number of siblings, parents' marital status, and age. Lastly, how and what are the parenting styles of the senior high school FURR students' parents, and the relation of the variables to the students' academic performance.
Thank you, Ms. Aliana Elias Wenyo. Now joining us to discuss the statement of the problem and the hypothesis, two members of Group 27, Christian Manuel Gabriel Obanbon and Cheryl Mamun. Welcome to you both, and I just want to start off by asking Mr. Christian about the statement of the problem. Mr. Christian, what is the statement of the problem, and can you name the following questions?
Sure. The statement of the problem mainly aims to determine the implication of parenting styles to the academic performance of the senior high school students of FEU Roosevelt Rodriguez. More specifically, it sought answers to the following questions. What is the demographic profile of the respondents in terms of the following variables? Parents' employment status, number of siblings, parents' marital status, and age. What are the parenting styles of the grade 11 and 12 FEU Roosevelt Rodriguez students' parents? Parents' perception and students' perception. What is the academic performance of the grade 11 and 12 FEU Roosevelt Rodriguez students? And lastly, is there a significant correlation between parenting styles and the academic performance of the grade 11 and 12 FEU Roosevelt Rodriguez students?
Right. Thank you for that. How about the hypothesis of the study? What do you say about that, Miss Cheryl?
So, for the hypothesis of the study, we have the null hypothesis. It is stated as follows. There is no significant relationship between the parenting styles and the academic performance of the grade 11 and 12 FEURR students. The null hypothesis is the assumption that we have given that will later on be verified in the study.
Alright, thank you so much for that.
The researchers regard this study as beneficial not only to them but also to the following groups of people. One of the members of Group 27, Sean Tristan T. Banzuela, is out there to discuss the significance of the study. Sean, who will be benefited from this research?
Well, the first group of people who will benefit this study are the students. The senior high school students of FEU Roosevelt Rodriguez will be able to understand how their relationship with their parents and the parenting style they have can be associated with their academic performance. Second are the parents. With the help of this research paper, parents will be more recognized as one of the beneficiary people, saying that this will become an eye-opener to them with regard to the things that their children want and need. Third are the teachers. The teachers can rely on this study when reflecting on the students' academic performance. This can help them be compassionate and sympathetic when their students are lacking in this aspect. Fourth in the list is the guidance counselors. Can provide valuable information on how they can approach certain situations regarding parenting styles. Likewise, they can implement distinct programs and seminars to help parents provide what their children need, that is, emotionally, physically, or financially. Last but not the least, this study can be of great use for future researchers. This will cover the parenting styles between the parent and the child and how it correlates with the academic performance of the latter. This study discusses a unique and interesting topic which surely would be of great reference material for them.
On the other line, Mr. Crisanto M. Jumao is also here with us to report the scope and the limitations. Mr. Crisanto, hi. To whom this study was limited?
This study was delimited to grade 11 and 12 students of FEU Husband Rodriguez and will be conducted within the school year 2021 to 2022. The grades of the respondents were taken from their general average of the first semester in an online class. The researchers decided to gather a total number of 360 grade 11 and 12 students out of 801. As the total population given to answer the survey done by the researchers that will be given to the selected respondents. The survey questionnaire consists of 30 items statements of parenting styles to both the parents and respondents to determine a significant correlation between parenting styles and academic performance of the respondents.
Alright, thank you so much, Mr. Crisanto. Now, for a better understanding, the following terms that are used in the study are defined based on how we use the terms in the study. Mr. John Ashley Pastorizo is here with us to discuss and further elaborate the definition of terms.
Yeah, so first on the list is academic performance. It is defined as the end result of the efforts exerted by the students. It represents the outcomes that indicates the extent to which a person has accomplished specific goals. Next, demographic profile. It refers to the description of a particular type of respondent to this research, including their sex, age, and other personal statistics that include such information as marital status and employment status. Third is the parent-child relationship. This refers to the relationship of the parent that nurtures the physical, emotional, and social development of the child. The unique and enduring bond between a caregiver and their child can be determined both by biological parents who share genetic material with their kids, and adoptive parents whose legal agreements that form a permanent parent-child relationship. And lastly, the parenting style. This refers to the manner in which a parent must raise their children. This can also refer to the parent's level of expectations, performance demands, attentiveness to their rules, and etc., as well as the style of discipline the parents utilize to enforce their expectations.
Now heading on to the first two parts of Chapter 3 of the study, which are the methods of research and the respondents of the study. John R.V.F. Adriano is here to report this. John R.V., can you please tell us about these parts?
The researchers made use of the descriptive method and one of primary forms survey method. The respondents of the study were the senior high school student and their parents of FEU Rodriguez in the school year 2021-2022 and used random sampling technique. Out of the 801 senior high school student, 50% of the total population including one parent among their parents were taken to fill out the survey questionnaire to determine the parenting style. Each of them has a total 360 senior high school students, including their parents were taken from 18 sections of FEU Rodriguez to form the sample study. 196 students from grade 11 and 204 students from grade 12.
Thank you so much, John R.V. Reporting the research instruments that was used to gather data for this research, Atasha Gwendy Andrada is here to discuss about it.
Yes, Sam. The main research instrument used to gather data for this research study is a survey questionnaire adapted from the Module 2 Parent Engagement Module Series by California Department of Education's Migrant Education Office, or MEO, in collaboration with WestEd, based on the research article of Robinson, Mandelko, Olson, and Hart in 1995. These questionnaires were sent via Microsoft Teams to the respondents. The survey questionnaire consists of 3 sections. Number 1 being the agreement, 2 demographic profile of the student and parent, and 3 the 30 questions in a 5-point scale. The 5-point scale is as follows: 1 being never, 2 equates to rarely, 3 equates to sometimes, 4 equals to often, and lastly, 5 being always. This survey questionnaire will identify the parenting styles applied by the parents to their children, such as the authoritative parenting style, authoritarian parenting style, and lastly, permissive parenting style.
Let's get back to Crisanto and Jumao to discuss the data gathering procedure.
The gathering of the data started by submitting an email with a letter of permission to conduct a study to the research advisor, Mrs. Mahife D. Baliwas, and the administrative director of FEO Hesbel Rodriguez, Mrs. Mahia Tahesa S. Angeles. Then the researchers requested a copy of the enrollment list of the respondent from the records office. Then the survey questionnaire was validated by doing a pre-testing for the students and their parents who were not included as the respondents. After validation, the survey questionnaire was distributed to the respondents. The researchers used Microsoft Forms to encode and create an online survey from the primary method of data gathering. Lastly, they treated the data statistically for analysis and interpretation to form a conclusion.
Going back to Mr. John Ashley Pastorizo to tell us the statistical tools that was used to treat the data obtained from the evaluation. Mr. Pastorizo, can you tell us the following statistical tools?
Sure, the first statistical tool that was used is the weighted mean. It was used to compute the average values of the specific set-in data to discern the results of the investigation. Second is the frequency. It is the number of times the value occurs in the data and to determine the respondent's demographic profile and the number of respondents that belong to the category with regards to the parenting style they have. And lastly is the percentage. It is calculated by taking the frequency in the category divided by the number of participants by multiplying it by 100%.
As well as the G-score that was used to determine there was a significant relationship between a parenting style and academic performance of the respondents.
Heading on to the chapter 4 of the study that presents, analyzes, interprets the data gathered, and the corresponding analysis to answer the problems in the study, Kiana Isa Valderrama is here again to discuss the Table 1.1.
Table 1.1 is all about the frequency distribution of the parents' employment status. And as you can see from the table, there were 207 parents who are employed, which is 57.5%. It also means that almost 60% of the parents are still working and are the breadwinners of the family. Meanwhile, 18.6% of the parents are still jobless and may still be seeking for employment. And 3.61% are retired and no longer working. Therefore, majority of the students' parents are employed. And the data conveys that most parents are still working, giving it their all, striving for their families and trying their best to provide the best quality of life that they can give to their children.
The next table, which is the table 1.2, shows the frequency distribution of the number of siblings of each of the participants have. John RVF Adriano is on the other line to discuss about it.
According to the data shown in the table, majority of senior high school students of FEO Roosevelt Rodriguez have a 1 or 2 siblings accumulating total of more than 60% combined. On the other hand, respondents who have about 5 or 6 siblings make up the smallest percentage of the students. The data interpreted that the respondents who has a siblings may naturally grow to be more responsible, as those chores and tasks are essential in adulthood. The person will have no problems doing such things as they grow. For students who have older siblings, the majority will look up to them as the younger ones tend to be like their older siblings, giving them a sense of maturity, which then leads to sense responsibility since people who have siblings tend to be more empathetic than those who do not have siblings.
Meanwhile, for the next table, Miss Atasha D. Andrada is here to report about it.
The table 1.3 presents the frequency distribution of the marital status of the parents. The data shows that most of the marital status of the parents are married, which take up more than 80%, and have fewer divorced parents, which has 1.11% of the total 360 respondents. This suggests that the respondents who are raised by married parents typically means that the child or children live in a family with more resources, including more time with both of their parents and with greater stability. And they be more likely to have a stable relationship with their own parents and can provide greater opportunities for their children to find their own paths to success.
Next on line is Ms. Cheryl Mamon to tell us about the table 1.4 that illustrates the frequency distribution of the FEURR senior high school students' age.
According to the table, most respondents are between the ages 16 to 18, which takes up more than 80%. Students between the ages 15 and 19 makes up the smallest percentage with less than 10% of the total respondents. Based on the findings, most students who evaluated their parents' parenting styles are middle adolescents and late adolescents or early adulthoods. Students at that age are at the right age to differentiate and have knowledge on different parenting styles. Hence, it also implies that the student at that age are at the right age to experience a high-quality parenting styles that are more likely to have a higher academic competence and improve social skills.
Now joining us to discuss the next tables, Christian Emmanuel Gabriel Obalbon is here again together with my partner, Stephanie Laverne Echano. Hi, please proceed to discuss the following tables.
The following, which is table 1.4, shows the frequency distribution of the FAU Roosevelt Rodriguez parents' age. It conveys that most of the parents are from millennials, which is in the age of 45 and 47. That makes up of more than 15% compared to the boomers generation. While the smallest percentage are in the age of 59, 64, and 65, which takes up less than 1% of the total respondents. With different generations, it may appeal to different parenting styles that may result in diverse behavior, personality, or characteristics of the students. The data also suggested that unlike previous generations, today's parents are embracing a wide range of parenting methods that were previously unheard of.
Next is the table 2.1, which indicates the frequency distribution of the students' parents' perception in parenting style. Out of all the respondents, 90.83% fall under the authoritative parenting style, while there are two parents that takes up 0.56% with a permissive parenting style. The FEURR senior high school students' parents who use this style are assertive but not intrusive and restrictive, supportive but not punishing. Aside from that, those who use the authoritative parenting style in raising their children may be more likely to develop a strong emotional bond to their parents.
Meanwhile, the table 2.2 represents the frequency distribution of the parenting style as perceived by the FEURR senior high school students. Out of 360 students, there are 260 students who have authoritative parenting style, which is about 72.22%, and only 9 students that takes up 2.5% belong to 2 or more parenting styles. Students who grew up with authoritative parenting style is characterized by having a parent with high expectations and maturity demands, but their parents are also affectionate and responsive to their wants and needs. They received enough attention and affection from their parents, and lastly, their parents give them a lot of freedom, explanations, and reasoning for their behavior.
Also waiting on the other line for the second to the last table in this chapter, which is the table 3, Mr. Sean Tristan Banzuela is here to give the details about it.
Table 3 you can see on your screen shows the frequency distribution of the academic students of FEU Roosevelt Rodriguez. Out of all the respondents, 50.56% of them got an outstanding in terms of grades, while the smallest percentage in the table is 1.11% that have an average grade of 75 to 79. Therefore, the students excel in their studies and achieve exceptional outcomes in schoolworks such as quizzes, activities, performance tasks, and exams. They also understand the lesson and modules given to them, and they participate in an online class discussion in an online class setting.
Last table is a table 4 that shows significant correlation between the parenting style and the academic performance of the selected grade 11 and 12 FEURR students. Crisanto M. Jumao assists here to further elaborate the table.
According to the table, the computed chi-square value is less than the critical chi-square value. Therefore, the null hypothesis is accepted. The null hypothesis states that there is no significant relationship between the parenting style and the academic performance of the grade 11 and 12 FEURR students. The academic performance of a student cannot be based on the parenting style they belong, as well as increase in the value of the variable does not result in the increase of the other. Eventually, the respondents excel and earns a higher GPA no matter what parenting styles they belong.
Based on the findings of the study, the following conclusions were drawn. The demographic profile of the respondents in terms of their parents' employment status is that majority of the parents are employed and some of are still jobless and maybe still seeking jobs. Most of the respondents that have 1 or 2 siblings, and most of the marital status of the parents is married. Lastly, the selected grade 11 and grade 12 are between the ages of 16 to 18.
In accordance with the responses acquired from the respondents, it can be concluded that selected grade 11 and 12 students belong or grew up with an authoritative parenting style. And according to the parents of the students, most of them are practicing authoritative parenting style compared to the other styles.
According to the respondents' first semester grades obtained from their class advisors, the majority of grade 11 and grade 12 students have an average of 90 to 94, indicating that they are experiencing authoritative parenting styles.
And lastly, the data shows that the null hypothesis is accepted. Thus, there's no significant relationship between the parenting styles and the academic performance of the grade 11-12 FEU Roosevelt Rodriguez students.
Now joining us for the last part of Chapter 5, which is the recommendations, our fellow member, Ms. Aliana Eliza V. Sueño, is here again to report. Ms. Sueño, please tell us about the recommendations that was formulated in this study.
The first recommendation is for the students. The researchers recommend being aware of different parenting styles, as it could be a great reference for the students who wanted to conduct the same study, to know how parents discipline their children. To the parents, the researchers suggest that they closely observe how the children's view of their parenting style affects them. Parents should identify the pros and cons of the parenting style they implement for their children. In addition, communicating with the children more and displaying their affection and care to the children more often could be a great practice to start at home. While to the relatives and siblings of the students who raised and took care of them, this study can also be their basis for them to see what kind of style they can use and what really fits in with them, whether it is an authoritative, authoritarian, permissive, or even 2 or more parenting styles. But more likely, the researchers would highly recommend them to stand up like their parents to break the ice between them, or try applying an authoritative parenting style. Along with that, this study advocates for the school administrators, specifically in the guidance office, to retain and keep on conducting yearly events such as seminars or workshops with regards to parenting styles, both to the students and parents. Last but not the least, to the future researchers. They can use this reference as it may be in line with their study.
And that's for today's latest news about the research entitled Parenting Styles, its implication on the academic performance of the senior high school students in FE Roosevelt Rodriguez from Group 27 of Grade 12 STEM D. Again, I am Stephanie Lavernichan.
And I am Samantha Justine Castro, bringing you the latest and interesting news about research.